Hello, hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, won't you jump in my game? It's been a long time since I've listened to the Doors, and I was thinking about them today with the death of Val Kilmer, who did not impersonation, but when he played Jim Morrison in that movie. That was as good as the kid that did Elvis and Timothy Chalamet, who did Bob Dylan. Yeah. Hello, April 2nd. Here we go. Full-time Aries season. And the fires are raging within. I'm so happy to connect with you in this way. Yesterday I was traveling, and it's weird, isn't it? Like, you get in a metal tube and you fly through the air from one city to the other. And I don't know. It's just, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I had nothing but gratitude last night. By the time I got home, I had a whole gratitude ritual. I was just so grateful for everything. We are so blessed. If you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, if you have some food in your refrigerator, if you have a car in your driveway, if you have a job, if you have some money in your... You are blessed. I can't believe my phone is already showing that it's a low battery. Okay, I got stuff to say. Welcome to the New Design for Living. Today, I want to talk about the opportunity that is knocking on the door this week. There is an opportunity knocking on your door today. In fact, you may hear the knock while you're watching this. Okay? What opportunity is knocking on your door? The opportunity for you to become excited about your realization of your inner power to co-create your life. We've been talking extensively about this on all these videos. I'm putting together something that I hope will be exciting for you to be a part of on a more regular basis, where we can do a bit of a deeper dive and I can support you on a more personal level. However, for today, I want you to think about this in a really deep way. Give it a few minutes of your time. You know, they say when opportunity knocks, answer. And so the opportunity that we have today, right now, yes, in part because of everything that is happening astrologically. What an amazing time this is. Everything is lining up for us to say yes to a new version of ourselves. And in the New Design for Living, one of the first new things we learn about and accept and lean all the way into is this awakening that, as the good witch said to Dorothy, you had the power all the time, my dear. And so this is part of the collapse. It is a part of the breaking down, falling away of all that has been, so that we can use it as a reference point in the recreation of what's next. Some of it, a lot of it, is being done to us. Change is being imposed upon us. And don't get me wrong, some of the structures that are being dismantled, really big, super big, right? We're talking about Medicaid and government agencies and the dismantling of our parks. All of these things that we've perhaps taken for granted, but for the most part have valued and participated in, have paid into over time. So there's no doubt that this is a massive moment, and in the New Design for Living, we're ready for it. Why? Because we already know what this is. We've already cleared out our toolbox of everything that's old and rusting. We've already put into the new toolbox the tools that are going to matter for today. And we have redefined who we are. We've redefined our values. We've redefined the principles that run our life. We are using contrast, or rather we're using what's happening as contrast to what doesn't work anymore and what it is we want to build in place of it. And so in my notes today, let me just see here. Yeah. Hold on one second. So with regards to opportunity knocking on the door and you being willing to answer it, and you being willing to say, wow, the opportunity that I have today is to just let it all go and step into this new understanding that I have power within me to co-create. You know, when I got into metaphysics and started studying philosophies of metaphysics with the great teachers like, Ernest Holmes and Mary Baker Eddy and Charles and Myrtle Fillmore and all these revolutionary people at the turn of the century that were considered blasphemous by the church because they were questioning. They were questioning. It's so important to question. As I've been saying, not a lot of answers right now, but the questions are more important than the answers because the questions stir the pot of possibility. The questions activate the space for the answers. The questions put us deep inside ourselves. And all of this is super important when you're going through massive change like this. But when I started to learn about metaphysics, we used to start with things like parking spaces. That's the laboratory that I was in the beginning. I wasn't manifesting big stuff. If I could manifest a parking space, that was like, wow, okay, this thing works. So you start wherever you are. However, the big thing I realized is everything is already pure potential. That's this whole quantum physics, the quantum field. You hear people say, everything is energy. Back behind the appearance of flesh and bones is pure energy that came into form, coagulated itself into form. And so one of the important things inside the new design for living is to understand, and I talked about this last week, that not only are you the architect, and not only are the instructions being revealed to you and through you in real time, but you're also being given the opportunity to imagine what from this field of pure potential, pure possibility, unlimited possibility, what am I wanting to draw into my life? Because we're talking about invisible clay. And this is what's challenging for us because we've been living in the 3D world. We're living in the world of effects. You got to see it to believe it. That's not how it is in the new design model. In the new design model, you got to believe it to see it. You got to imagine it in your mind's and your heart's eye before it can manifest, because we understand our role in the co-creative process. We use our imagination to create the mold. Our feelings creates the mold. Our words and our thinking and the pattern of our words and our thinking creates the mold. The universe, the invisible realm, the intelligence that stuffed the rose into the bud, that's the thing that is the how. I mean, after all these years, I have finally relinquished my need to be the one that does it all. I know it's mine to do. However, I'm in partnership with that invisible realm. I'm in partnership with that invisible intelligence and presence. I'm in partnership with this invisible clay that is ready to mold itself based on my instructions. That is why it's so important to start building our lives from the inside out. And that is why the new design for living is it's not just a vision, it's a new spiritual model. It's a new revolutionary way of creating the new way. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, the new earth. Well, it's not like Mother Nature is just going to hand us the new earth. The whole thing about the new earth, the power about the new earth is we're creating it. The outside forces isn't going to be creating the new way. They created the old way and they're dismantling the old way, and we're realizing that we have power there and we're exercising it, and it's powerful. And it's also a time to realize that your power lies within you. It is a creative power. And when you learn how the universe works and you start working with it, it's called alignment. So I want you to think about this. Opportunity is knocking at the door. You open the door and you say, come on in. You sit down with opportunity and you say, why are you here? You're a guest in my home. Why are you here? And opportunity says, hey, I got some great news for you. You've got the power. I've got some great news for you. You have the power to co-create your moment, your day, your feelings. You have the power to co-create your thinking. You have the power to co-create your tomorrow and your future and your partnership and your family. The power is not only in your hands, but it's within you. And then you come to understand that you're dealing with invisible mold and invisible clay that responds to imagination. Who's that? Hi, Don. You know, I watch these videos and I'm talking and then all of a sudden I go, hi, Don. But this is wonderful to see people show up. So we're recognizing that the opportunity today, right now, is to shake off everything and step into this new understanding that I have the power. Just start saying that. I have the power, and it's a power for good. I have this power that resides at the center of my beingness. I was born with it, and it's part of the gift of being a human being that we're here to co-create. And we're here to co-create. We are working with a power. Something put all of this together before we arrived. Something knew the rose in its final bloom and yet stuffed it into a bud and stuffed it into the seed and then stuffed it into the dirt for the sheer enjoyment of the unfolding, the sheer enjoyment of the bloom. That's what I'm hanging out with, and that's what I want you to begin to develop a relationship with. This invisible power, this invisible presence that responds. But in the 3D world of effects where everything has to already be, that's why the mind resists change. You take a leap of faith. Think of it this way. When you use your GPS, you put the destination in your GPS. And what does it do? It gives you an overview of the turns and the stops. That's what your feelings do, right? You have an idea, you set an intention, there's something you want to co-create or change, and your feelings give you the overview of the journey and how you'll feel when you arrive at your destination. And then what happens? You press go, and the directions come to you one at a time. You have to turn left before the GPS will tell you what you're going to do next. And that's how it is with life. If the GPS gave you all the instructions at the same time, you would never begin the trip. It would be impossible. How would you discern the divine right order? How would you discern the orderly process of your travel if everything happened at one time? This is how it is in the new design model. You get a feeling. The feeling tells you, yes, this is for you. The feeling tells you, yes, this is a good decision. This is a good way to go. And then you take that first step. And when you take the first step, what happens? That invisible presence says, all right, okay, they're in. I'm going to give them the next breadcrumb, the next direction. And because you're in partnership with it, or you're willing to test out the partnership because, hey, let's go into the laboratory of life and test it. I'm not saying blindly accept what I'm talking about. You have to have your own experience of what I'm talking about. That's the new design model as well. You know, you go on social media, everybody's telling us what to do. Why? Because the mind is calmer when it knows. But does somebody really know you? Does somebody's way of success really going to be your way? And that's part of the old design model that we don't know and someone outside of ourselves does. Now, that's not to say we don't have mentors and people that we're following, or that, teachers and mentors and consultants don't have ideas that can assist us. Of course, that's true. However, on the more expansive scale of what I'm talking about today, in the new design model, we are realizing, and for many, remembering that the inner authority is pretty damn good. That which is within us knows. You get the hit to call somebody. What did they say? Oh, I was just thinking about you. These little moments where you follow, maybe unconsciously, but maybe now consciously, these what I call hits. And you take the step. And sure enough, you feel in alignment. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I called that person. I was just thinking about you. So when we talk about the new design for living, when we talk about the new design for you, for me, for our families, our workplace, our community, these are the new building blocks for change, okay? The invisible presence, the invisible intelligence, the invisible clay that will respond to the new way. As great as it would be to have the ball of clay in your hand and be able to shape it, in the new design model, we recognize that that's not always available to us, but it doesn't mean that there isn't clay available to us that's ready to be molded. But it's waiting for you. Nice to see you too, Dawn. It's waiting for you. So I want you to be, well, let me say it this way. I want to encourage you to take a break from the news, to take a break from social media. Put it down for a little bit today and tune into you. How are you feeling? Are you feeling the way you want to feel? And if not, how can you use how you are feeling as a way to know how you really want to feel? Then you get to that awareness. I would rather feel light than heavy. I would rather feel focused than confused. I would rather feel healthy. Start to get a sense of how it is you want to feel. Then you ask yourself, okay, what thoughts, what pattern of thinking is maintaining the way I don't want to feel? You just write it down. Then you take those sentences and you flip them. What would be the thought I'd have to have that would yield the feeling I want to feel? This is the way it is. This is you taking control of your life. This is you taking control of your creative process. This is you putting yourself in the driver's seat and saying, whoa, 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 hold on a second. I'm in charge. I have the power. I'm a creator. And I'm going to start trying this because what we've been using is not working. And in fact, it's collapsing. And like I said the other day, we don't want the outer world to be informing us because it doesn't know what it's doing. And who would want to get the information from the world that's collapsing? Of course, people go, well, who has the instructions? That's a video I did last week. It's a great one to watch. Because in the old design model, we are trained to believe the instructions are going to come from outside of ourselves. Because the power is in the ones outside of ourselves. The authority are the people outside of ourselves. But in the new design model, that's not how it goes. We're the authority. In the new design model, the instructions are coming to and through us from a higher mind, using our mind as a means to communicate to us. This is why being in nature is so important. It gets us out of ourselves and puts us into our interconnectivity with all of life. And what a beautiful time it is. Spring has sprung. I want to encourage you to look at the buds that are starting to show themselves and find one that you're going to look at every single day and commit yourself to witnessing the process of a bloom from an intelligence you cannot see, but you can see its process. You can witness its presence, even though you can't see the thing itself. That is what is happening within us. We are learning how to live from the inside out. something our ancestors did. Here in Alaska, that's what the indigenous people, all indigenous people, this is the people of the earth, the pagans, coming from the word paganus, meaning of the country, country dwellers. We're going back to our roots. And this is a really good thing. So let's see. Feel excited about your co-creative process. Think about this invisible molding clay. And how are you creating the mold for that clay? Think about this opportunity to let opportunity knock on your door and invite it in. Ask it, what's mine to do here? Where do I start? And then listen. Listen to your heart, the one that feels. Because we're not going to think our way out of this. We're not to say thinking is not relevant. Of course it is. But in the old design model, the mind and thinking and knowing was of high value. That's why feelings were always dismissed. That's why the heart was always cut out. Well, the heart wants back in this game because the heart has the answers. In the new design model, it's about feelings. Feelings have an intelligence within them. Feelings give us a preview of what is to come. So use your feelings as your own personal GPS and wipe the slate clean. Just give yourself permission to wipe the slate clean every day maybe and start anew. So I would love to hear your thoughts about this. How are you doing? How are you feeling? If you want to play the game of this invisible clay, what would you like to mold it into? You don't have to start big. If you can, go for it. But what are you dreaming in? What are you calling in? What are you being called to do, to say, to be? What's yours to do? Exciting questions to ask. And I think you'll be surprised if you give yourself permission to feel into it, the excitement that's ready to be recognized by you. Because you see, when it's so intense out in the world of effects and things are happening hour after hour after hour, we can't keep up, all intentional, we're being overstimulated, not the way our nervous system was designed, important to take breaks, trying to keep people confused by strategically overwhelming us with information. If you can take a break from that on a regular basis throughout the day and night, and practice tuning into you. Practice following the prompts of your own intuition, whatever it is. Go to this store, go for a walk, and then just do it as a test, as an experiment. You're going to be building a foundation that you won't even realize until it's there for you when you most need it. So I hope some of this has been helpful today. It's really great to be connected with you. I really missed not sharing yesterday. Please consider heading over to my YouTube channel, The New Design for Living. CamilleConte.com is my personal website. And if you're interested in taking a course with me or a workshop, if you're interested in doing more of this work with me on a one-on-one or group basis, it would be great to get your comments below, because I am looking back over my coursework around change, and it's really important stuff right now. And I'm getting excited about what I'm being called to offer to up-level my experience within the New Design for Living and be available for those who are ready to go. Because there's a lot of people looking, there's a lot of people hungry, and I have some of the nourishment to satisfy that hunger. And I'm excited, I'm so excited to be putting things together just for you. So take super good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.